Happy Thursday, folks. It is Charlotte Cornegay coming live to you with another Forever Friends Academy episode. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a great week so far. Welcome, welcome, Forever Friends family. This is a place where we talk about all relationship topics and we focus on building relationships that last a lifetime. So, welcome. Let me introduce myself just in case there's someone new catching the show tonight. My name is Charlotte Cornegay. I'm an author, recording artist, creator of Interact Coaching and Forever Friends Academy, and this is my show titled the same name, Forever Friends Academy. And hopefully, you'll hear something that you like tonight. We talk about, relationship fundamental principles that you can guide your relationships, use to guide your relationships, use to create a foundation, a strong foundation for your relationships, so that when the test of time and change come, you will be well equipped. So welcome. If you want to check out any of my music, definitely Google Charlotte K, that's Charlotte with an S, and or go to your favorite music platform of your choice and peruse my music for sure. I hope that you find a song or songs that you really, really do enjoy and will become a part of your everyday playlist. All right, so enough about me. We are going to get into the topic for tonight. And I wanted to do something because we've been, as we normatively are here, which I don't mind. I am who I am, and I can only be that. And, I think there are a few spaces where you get to talk about the details of relationships and kind of analyze the systems and things like that. And I don't want to say I pride myself on it, but I know that that's something that I focus on. And so when you come to me, we definitely dive deep into a lot of topics, and I enjoy putting the pieces together and kind of helping, to articulate the complexities of relationships. But I wanted to take it kind of light tonight. And I used to, before every Sunday used to be like Forever Friends Academy Sunday scenarios where I put out a scenario and we'd act like we were the therapist and the coach, and we would, get to learn all the lessons that the two imaginary people that I create are learning, but without all the consequences, right? Without us being emotionally attached or compromised. So I wanted to do a scenario tonight because I came across a video, and I'm going to use that as the scenario tonight. Of a gentleman who I think it was his own show. And it's a show that sometimes if I get a chance to, I'll watch. It's called Hardly Initiated. Really good podcast. Two wonderful gentlemen who do that show. If you want to check them out, they're on YouTube. And I came across one of the episodes where he was explaining to the guests that they had on that, he's in this relationship, but and everything's going well, but he's just not sure. And he used the term because of FOMO. And I don't know if anybody has heard that phrase before, but FOMO basically is an acronym for fear of missing out. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I want to start the conversation, of course, by putting out a quote to you guys. It's a long quote, so I have to read it because I was able to memorize the first line, but no, not the whole thing. So I'm going to read it to you guys. You guys let me know your thoughts. All right. So the quote for tonight is, "Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now." Okay. Let me just repeat that part. Okay. Because that one was like, whoa, when I first read it. Right. So the quote is, "Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now. There is magic all around and joy inside. Do not mindlessly chase all shiny new things and miss what matters most. The appreciation, gratitude, and generosity in this very moment." And I'll repeat it again because I think it is worthy of being repeated so many times. Hey, Jal Puma. Welcome. I think it's your first time to the podcast. If it is, welcome. Thank you for popping in. So, the quote for tonight, again, guys, let me read it because I think it's so good, right? Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now. There's magic all around and joy inside. Do not mindlessly chase all shiny new things and miss what matters most, the appreciation, gratitude, and generosity in this very moment. And that is by Brendan Barchard. Hope I pronounced his name right. But phenomenal quote, especially that first line for me. I didn't necessarily have to read the rest of it because that first line hit it on the nail for me. Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now. Woo. So that's the quote, guys. That's the quote for tonight. Let me know what your thoughts on it. Of course, as I always ask you guys, do you think it's truthful, first of all, number one? And do you think it's a good quote to help, have in your relationship skills arsenal, your toolkit to build relationships that last a lifetime, right? I definitely do. I definitely think it is. And I think it's a really good reminder because I think as we go on doing, and handling the many responsibilities that come our way, that it is very easy to miss out on the present moment. So that's why I love it. I love the first line because it's so true. But of course, I wanted to present it to you guys tonight because of the scenario that I have for you guys tonight. And you guys let me know. But before I put out the scenario, I wanted to ask a nice little icebreaker question. You guys let me know for those of you watching on. And the nice icebreaker question is, when you were younger, what was your favorite game to play? When you were younger, what's your favorite game to play? And when I was, thinking of this icebreaker question, I was not thinking about video games, but you can't tell me that. I'm just letting you know where my thoughts were. And maybe that's because I was a child that kind of was into sports and played outside and loved it. So that could just be an experience thing. So you can play video games, but I would love for you, and I would love for you to let me know, like, I guess maybe I should say, what was the favorite game for you to play, like with other kids outside maybe, or in gym class or something that was active. So that's the icebreaker question. And I'll tell you mine while I wait for you guys if you have, any sentiments on it and want to respond. My favorite game, I believe, because I was deciding, I was like, I don't know which one was my favorite, but this one just kept on coming up. So I don't know if any of you guys have played the game Red Light, Green Light, 1, 2, 3. Like, such a simple game. It's literally a simple game. You literally turn around while you're saying red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. And then when you open your eyes, you're supposed to have like other children that are not running towards you. Well, maybe running towards you, running or walking towards you. And then when you say 1, 2, 3, if you see them and they're still moving, they get caught, they're out, right? And the idea is the winner is the person who touches you at the end. So anyway, that's my favorite. That was my favorite game growing up as a kid. But why I bring it up tonight is because I want to try to introduce something new when we're presenting these scenarios, where it's, you let me know when I introduce the scenario to you. Do you think it's a red light, meaning like full stop? This person should not pass go. They should not continue on with this relationship because you feel like it's clearly something not going well in the relationship, or it's not a good sign, right? Or do you think green light, right? Like, no, not a problem, pass go. This is something they can hash out, they can handle, etc. Or we didn't have red light, green light, and yellow light, but I'm putting yellow light in it. Do you think it's a yellow light, meaning like, I wouldn't say it's totally a negative thing, but I wouldn't say just go. Maybe pause. Yellow light mean like yield, pause, and kind of like think about it. So that's the way that I kind of want, you guys to think about the scenario when I'm rolling out to you. So while I wait for you guys, I will tell you what the scenario is for tonight. So the scenario is for tonight is we have a couple and they have been dating for about maybe over a year, maybe like a year and a half. And everything is going well as far as how the gentleman feels about the young woman. You know, everything's going well. Not a lot of conflict, not a lot of arguments. She's supportive. All of these beautiful characteristics she has. And however, the gentleman goes on, and let's just say exactly like the scenario where I got it from, that he has a podcast and he has a guest who is an expert in relationships. So let's put that in the context. So he brings out his basically what he's been feeling in regards to this relationship. He says all the things that I just said, that it's going really well. However, he is having experiencing what they call FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. And the reason why he expresses that he's going through this is because, you know, he's seen the process of who he was before and who he is now. And he can only imagine the opportunities that await him for who he is going to become, you know? And so he also recognizes that who he is now has also attracted the woman that is currently in his life, right? And so with that in mind, it actually brings more of the FOMO, the fear of missing out within him, because he's like, well, I'm not going to stop growing. I'm going to continue growing. And so if I do grow in all of these areas, finances, my character and things like that, will there be a certain, you know, type of woman that I can, you know, attract my way when I get to that level? And I won't know if I decide now that I'm going to wholeheartedly commit to the woman that I'm with, right? And so he expresses that to the expert on the show. And during the show, and I'll tell you what the expert on that show, which I thought her answer to him was really, really good. She said that, you know, when you find someone that you can build with, right, in a relationship, know that all of the character development and things that you are experiencing within yourself did not just come via yourself. Know that that woman is building with you. Know that when she comes into your life, that she is drawing things out of you that would not be possible if she wasn't in your life. And she talked about, which we're going to get into it deeply on another day, not today. She talked about in relationships, intangible value versus tangible value, right? And she was saying this woman seems like she's probably giving you a lot of intangible value that you can't just, it's not readily seen. You know, you have to kind of sit back, reflect, and assess to see the value that she's really offering you. And sometimes a lot of men will, because of, you know, the same type of thinking and mindset that he has, think that as they get to a higher level, that it's automatically going to garner them a certain caliber of woman. And she said, honestly, in her clientele, she's seen the opposite, where the more and higher you grow and you go, the harder it is to find someone who loves you, wants you just for you and not, right, the growth of your finances or the growth of all of these things that you're building. So I thought that was a great answer. So nonetheless, the scenario is that his significant other was paying attention, right, to the show that he's on. And, you know, while she appreciated his vulnerability in presenting that on his podcast and wanting to get the insight from the guest and her expertise, she couldn't help but feel like, you're not sure about me. You know, you're not sure about me if you have a fear of getting something better than who I am to you right now, right? And so my question to you guys who are watching the show is, one, do you think it's a red light? She should full stop. Like, yeah, definitely a red flag. He's not sure about you, doesn't know if you are the one that he wants to spend the rest of his life with, even though he's clearly stating that your qualities and is aware of some of the value that you bring him, right? So full stop, red light. Or no, green light, go. He's just being honest. He was being vulnerable. And he's letting you know that you do bring value, but he's just exposing something, an internal battle that's inside of him. So it's okay. She can go. They can kind of like, or yellow light pause, maybe not go, don't full stop, but maybe take a moment and think about it. So let me know what your thoughts. Hey, J Love Beats, how are you? Thank you for popping in. I just introduced a scenario about a couple and a gentleman who is in the relationship who is having FOMO, which is a fear of missing out on, feeling like he likes the woman that he's with, but he's like, I'm going to keep building my portfolio. I'm going to keep growing. And possibly if I settle down and commit to this person wholeheartedly, then who's to say I might be missing out on someone that I can bring and attract to myself as I grow, right? Of a even higher caliber. So that's what we're talking about tonight. So anyone on here, let me know if you, have you went through that, right? Have you had a fear of missing out? And I love this because I don't think, even though I'm presenting it in the context of relationships, I think the fear of missing out can cripple a lot of people, not just in the relationship space, but it can come up to where you are a person that is crafting something or fine tuning your business or fine tuning some kind of creativity or art. And it's like, unless you feel like it's to a certain perfection, in your mind, you won't put it out, right? Or you won't move forward and you won't progress because, if I put out now, won't there be a greater version later at the end? So I think this comes up in a lot of aspects and areas of life. And I think it is something that can be very, crippling. It's a natural thought, because there are billions of us in this world. So I always say it's a very courageous decision when you say, I'm going to choose you out of all these people in the world. I am going to commit and continue committing and showing up to you. So yeah, I don't think it's a unnatural thought, or unnatural feeling that someone can have. But at the same time, I have talked to, I've experienced it, right, in my own relationship, in my marriage with Ben, but also I have talked to other people and couples who, once you find that person that has the obvious value and the intangible value that they give to you, and you just can't really see doing life without them, there is something in you that you do know, there's a certainty that comes upon you. Now, don't get me wrong. I've also talked to people who might have thought that and they felt like they made the wrong choice. So I understand why this gentleman might be thinking in this way. So, you guys let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are. And of course, I'm going to show you guys the code for those who might not want to type to me. You can come on the show. So let me put that QRC code up because I would love to talk to you guys. All right. So here's the QRC code for the show. Definitely just scan it and you will be able to come on live with me. Okay. As long as you are nicely and properly dressed. Inappropriate. I would love for you to come on the show and talk to me. For you, those of you on Instagram, let me know. I don't know if it completely like cuts it off somewhat, but if you are on Instagram, I do have it pinned to my page, so you can always kind of hop out, scan that code, as well as if you're on Facebook, I have it also pinned to my page if you're having some issues in scanning it now. So that is the code if you want to, come on the show and talk to me. So But I'll let you guys know my thoughts while I wait to hear from you guys on this scenario. Now, I think definitely for me, it would be like a yellow light. It wouldn't be a red light, like full stop. And it wouldn't necessarily be like a go light as well. I think that one of the reasons why I wouldn't make it a full stop is that I do think it is him being vulnerable and being open enough to address something that he has been internalizing. And I think it's smart to, even though, yeah, it's a public, a public space to do it. But I think it's smart when someone is in your presence that you feel like is an expert in something beyond what you know. And I think it is a good move to put that out there so that that person can give you maybe a new or different perspective, which I think that she eloquently did when I was watching the show that I derived this, relationship scenario from. So that's number one. I think that it definitely is him just trying to expose what he was internalizing. And I always say on this show, I think one of the most challenging things to do, but definitely a bridge that you will have to cross time and time again when you are developing a relationship and building with someone is not to personalize their condition, right? Like we are souls, who have lived experience, and those lived experiences that we have do put certain downloads within us. They can condition us in our beliefs and our mindsets. They can condition us to, do certain actions and behave in a certain way. So when your partner or someone is exposing something to you, one of the best things to do is to understand that there is a background that they had before you even came into the picture, and that background doesn't just go away once you're in the picture, right? And there are some parts of their story and elements of their background that they might have healed from and they might have worked out, but then there are other elements that they will be working out in real time. So that's the first thing, is not to personalize their condition, right? And make it more about you than them, coming to a space and a point to want to expose something that they do want to deal with, but maybe don't know how to. So that's the first point as to why I wouldn't just say it's a full stop. Now, the reason why I say it's a yellow light, though, is because I think if it was me, I would take definitely what the expert on the show told him, and we would definitely take that back to us and have a conversation about it, and then assess whether we need to, right, either do coaching or do counseling to see if it is something that, where we don't know, he can't pinpoint, what the value is, or if it's just fear that's crippling him and things like that. I think it's a moment where we say pause and let's assess, right, this friendship that we're developing. Let's assess this relationship that we're developing so that we can see, But I think in this scenario, there's what he feels, but then there's the principle, right? Which is the quote that I put out to you guys in the beginning. Don't fear missing out, right? For, forsaking the now, right? And let me not paraphrase, because y'all know I'm so good for that. Hey, Queen of the Pack, how are you? Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now. It's said so much better. That's why I didn't want to paraphrase it. Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now. Brendan Barchett, right? So that's the underlying principle. So I always say here, when we come to a point where there is, where there's either miscommunication or misunderstanding, we can present how we feel, right, about the situation to each other, but we always want to hold space to what the fundamental truth and fundamental principle is, and then build from there, right? Because no matter what, when if they do decide to have this conversation together and they bring it back to themselves and they do decide to go further into maybe coaching or therapy, that is the area that, at least if they came to me, right? That is the area that I would start to examine it from, because there's no way you can make an appropriate right decision if you are living in the future, right? And a lot of people who have FOMO, the fear of missing out, make their decisions based on anxiety, right? Because that's what anxiety is. Anxiety is literally living in the future, pondering over something that hasn't happened yet, that's why it causes a lot of stress and strain and worry on people when they get in a mode and have an anxiety attack or get in a mode in that way, because there's no way to kind of like get a good grip on that, because one, it hasn't occurred, So him living in the future, thinking about the possibilities of the women that he might be missing out on, instead of assessing the relationship that he is in real time right now, both the value that he can obviously and the intangible value that is being offered, you'll never make the right decision from that space, right? So if they came to me, it is, okay, how can we peel back the layers? Where did this come from? First of all. Two, how can we get you in the space of where we're assessing what you're appreciative of your relationship now, where you have gratitude of your relationship now, because from that space, right, we can make the right decision. And you can also, from that space, take that energy to maybe put a flashlight, right, and kind of dissect the areas where we feel like, okay, we do need to improve the quality of our relationship in this area, right? But then you can see if it's like really a relationship that you can say, okay, yeah, we can go forward. We can move forward on this. These are just natural feelings that come about, rather than something inside really telling him like, no, actually this person is not the one for me, because the value that they're offering, we are not aligned in that way, right? That's a different story. But that only can be acknowledged, that only can be determined when you're in the now, not trying to assess that possibility or that truth from living in the future of what you might be missing out on. And the other thing too that I think when it comes to the fear of missing out in this scenario is that, that never goes away. That's like oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, I don't know if any of you have seen The Wiz, right? That's like for slang terms, the black version of the Wizard of Oz. And where Michael Jackson, he played the scarecrow, and like the crows were just on his back, just constantly telling him like, you'll never be nothing, and you're just a stupid scarecrow and things like that. It's having that mentality, fear of missing out, is like having the scarecrows on your back, right? It's like having something on your back, always constantly making you think that you're missing out on someone else or something else, instead of like really doubling down on what you have here and now, and growing from that space. So I think that's something that he would have to work out anyway, right? Even if he says, you know what, she's not the one, and I do away with this relationship, that principle, that lesson would always constantly come around to him, because let's say he grows in I don't know what his wealth is now, or where he is, or what his aim is to get to in growing and building himself up. But let's just say he's reached the epitome of what he wants, whether that's, I'm a millionaire, multimillionaire, I have this much status and success in my life, and he, gets a quote unquote the woman of a certain caliber because of what he has been able to build. That doesn't go away. And we know that to be true because of all the stories that you hear of people who are of a certain caliber and people would have deemed to be very successful, in a very tangible way, right? Maybe they're tangible value that's obvious in their life that people see, and we can't see what's going on in the background, but nonetheless, you see them, right? And sometimes you look and you wonder, like, wait a minute, why did he step on his family for this person? So that's a lesson. As they say, right, the grass is not always greener on the other side. That is a tried and true lesson that anyone who is deciding to be in a monogamous, committed, relationship, marriage, is going to have to cross that bridge and have the understanding, have enough discipline and consistency to be anchored in that truth and that principle, which is grow your garden where you are. Grow your garden where you are. And I'll say the quote again because it's so good, from Brandon Barch. It is that first line of that quote: "Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now." So whether it's in the context of this relationship scenario that I poured out, presented to you guys tonight, about the gentleman, being hesitant to kind of commit to the young lady because he has FOMO, he has the fear of missing out, or whether, like I said, you can put it in other contexts, of life where it's, okay, you've been building this business for I don't know how many years, or you've been training in a certain field or a certain industry, or you've been crafting this certain project or creative endeavor, and you're looking for the silver lining of perfection. And so you don't put it out there, and the fear of missing out on the better version of whatever it is that you're working on. And honestly, one of the things that have really come, and helped me have a woosah, moments in my life and give me so much peace is that we are people of progress. And as long as there is incremental progress going on in your life and you can celebrate the small wins, then we pretty much are happy. And I was letting you guys know, maybe 3 podcasts ago, that I was getting my project management certificate. And I love studying project management. Has been helping me in my coaching because so many of the universe's fundamental principles that it takes to see projects from start to end, knowing the things that you need first, and knowing the scope of the project to be able to really gauge everything from the budget to et cetera, really applies to relationships. So one of the things that I was thinking about in the scenario is that there is a methodology in project management called Agile, right? And that is a type, because they have like different methodologies. There's ones that are like, everything is fundamental. It's like build brick by brick, right? Meaning like it's a linear process and you cannot, you have to build one thing for the next thing to be able to start to get implemented. But with Agile, it's different. It's more flexible. It's more fluid. And life is like that. So I really loved studying it. And one of the things of why they started to create the Agile methodology in project management is because, right, technology, just like this, software companies and things like that, where it's a volatile type of industry, meaning it people can, how it is, right? Like how many iPhones have we had already, right? You can come out with a feature on a phone like so quickly. And so they had to learn how to adapt. And what I love about it is that they're not waiting for this perfect, picture perfect, all out look of how the software is going to be. They will use the feedback that they get from customers and clientele to feed what they need to improve, right? So the idea is that they put out in increments a tangible, and for lack of better words, good enough, right, type of product, throw it out to the customers give them feedback, and then they go back again to like fine tune it and create it, right? But they're not waiting on it, they're not waiting on it. And you find that, at least in the field of project management, that they get more of where they're hitting the target, because not only are they getting the real time now, in the now feedback from the customer, that they're able to, right, know exactly what it is that they need to implement. So, and I think in relationships, it's like that, right? In real time, like we can't, we can, right? But I would say it's not beneficial. It's not going to be advantageous to say, okay, you know how we were back then, like when we first got together, let's double back to that. No, we can't, right? Like if we really can't, if we were a couple that were without children, were without certain responsibilities and things like that. Now we have, right, greater responsibilities, different roles that we have to take on. So the things that we do to nurture and care and pour into ourselves and pour into the relationship probably has to look different, right? And it's not a bad thing because your capacity has increased based on the stewardship that you have, right, over the things that God has said, you know what, you can handle that, right? So in that same sense, you want to grow, what you have and appreciate it and pour into it so that it becomes, better. And I have some new, hey, Aranya, how are you? Thank you for popping in. I have some men in here, so I would love to get you guys feedback. I put out a scenario where a gentleman, there's a couple, and they've been a couple for like about going on a year plus. And he basically has FOMO. He has fear of missing out. Right? So he's really digging the girl that he's with. It's everything's going well, no arguments, no, she's works with him, she's supportive. All of these great, accolades and things. I don't want to say accolades, attributes that she has to offer the relationship. Yet he expresses that he still has the fear of missing out because he's growing. He's been, really pouring into himself, whether it's his business endeavors, his character development, et cetera. And so he feels like, man, where I was before and where I am now has given me this woman in my life. And I can see, right, the upgrade. If that's not going to stop, why should I, cash my chips in here? I might meet someone of, another caliber if I keep on going. So let me know definitely from the male point of view, the women are in here from the woman perspective. How would you feel? And in the scenario, the gentleman is a podcast hoster and he had a expert who is an expert in relationships. So he exposed his internal, what his internal issue was. And so I asked everyone, what do you think? Do you think it's a full stop? She should full stop because she was listening to the podcast and she, of course, well, maybe not of course, right? Different women respond different ways, but this particular woman was like, oh man, he's not sure about me. He's now said that publicly on his podcast. So yeah, so let me know. Anybody on here, have you experienced FOMO, the fear of missing out? Has it ever made you hesitant to, right, commit to a relationship? Do you think it causes for people to miss out, like this wonderful quote that I keep on repeating because I think it needs to be echoed because it's so truthful. Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now. Do not fear missing out at the expense of missing now. So let me know if you've ever experienced that in the context of relationships or if you've ever experienced that like I said, in business or creative endeavors where you've been hesitant because you are just looking for the perfect, product, perfect way to provide your service, et cetera. And so it causes you to be hesitant, full stop. So I'm